if you guys didn't know, we recently spoke about how Lady Gaga really did do the smart thing when she was giving this interview where she kind of said, you know what, people didn't like my movie and that's okay. As an artist, I think a lot of people who have criticisms of Hollywood in general appreciate that approach because they're not blaming the audience for the fact that their movie bombed. People like it when a celebrity takes responsibility once in a while. What I like seeing now is these celebrities realizing that these journalists are not their friends. These journalists are, in fact, not just the enemy of the people, they are the enemy of the celebrities themselves because they're always trying to trap them in gotcha questions that they can then pull for sound bites so that we can then dunk on them later, and it becomes one big media circus. And Brie Larson found a way to just sidestep it all together.
Yeah, in a recent interview with The Telegraph, this journalist placed feminist bait right in front of Brie Larson's face.
This.
I'm sure it was so difficult for her to resist, but she has at this point gone through a boot camp of media training where people told her if you want to win back the good faith of any audience, you need to stop being insufferable in interviews. So she took that to heart. She went silent and refused to tackle feminist topics when she was questioned about the perceived Captain Marvel backlash and misogyny. So they really tried to pull a ballerina farm on her. Like the way that they're writing her in this interview is like a character, like she's brainwashed. Like she's some kind of North Korean like defector or something. So here's what they wrote. When I ask Brie Larson why she thinks some men were threatened by her casting in Captain Marvel, the temperature in the room plummets. I don't know, she says blankly. I don't pay attention. I ask if not paying attention is her way of dealing with the misogyny. They're so good at this, like just twisting and weaponizing words. A few seconds of chilly silence pass before she replies. What I would like you to see is that by continuing this conversation, you are putting me in connection with something that is nothing to do with me. This seems a startling thing to say. I try again by asking whether she believes that the film industry continues to pigeonhole actresses to the point that a female superhero can, for a certain sort of viewer, still feel like an aberration.
This isn't her taking Brie Larson's words. She's literally inventing shit and then dumping it into her lap so that she can then attach her name to it. I feel awful for Brie Larson in this context. Like, and here's the thing. This is what happens every time these celebrities go to these interviews. Do you remember when they were doing the red carpet for Agatha? This wasn't the celebrities bringing it up.
They're like, how gay is it? Tell us how gay it is.
Show it is. Is it the gayest show you've ever seen?
Is it the gayest thing you've ever seen?
And then poor Aubrey Plaza is like, yeah, I guess it is super gay. Like, what do I know? Like,
her husband saw that and he was like, F it, I'm done.
Oh, not good.
So it gets worse from there. She replied, I don't think there is a way for me to answer that without it becoming a problem for me.
And here's the thing. The thing. This journalist knows that. Yeah. They do not have their head in the sand. She's trying to create a problem. They are trying to create a problem because it benefits them with clicks. It's our job here to respond to the stupidity that every one of these artists says. Now, I have more respect for a celebrity that finds their way to weave around it. The problem is most of the time,
teach them the weave.
Most of the time they don't. Most of the time they offer this stuff up of their own volition. But a lot of the times now, they try to trick him into it. Think of what they tried to do with Henry Cavill when he was doing press for The Witcher. They're like, so what do you think of those toxic fans there? And he has to be like, well, I don't think they're toxic. I think that they're passionate. But Henry Cavill also had years of goodwill on his side with the audience. A lot of these celebrities don't have that. And the journalists are just out to just get them eaten up, just like chum. They just want to feed them to the sharks.
Well, yeah, Brie Larson certainly used to be one of those people who, of her own volition, brought up these topics.
She did when she won the whatever it was. I don't remember if that was her Oscar where she gave that particular speech. It might have been at a different award show when she says, I don't need to know what a 40-year-old white dude thinks about A Wrinkle in Time. Look, she should be criticized for that, but that ship has already sailed. We're on well and past that now. It's not time to judge her on that. It's time to judge her on how she handles interviews now.
Right.
And this is what's going on now.
So she said, I don't think there is a way for me to answer that without it becoming a problem for me. her publicist intervenes to ask me to move on to the next question. So her publicist had to come to the rescue so she wouldn't end up having another media firestorm under her ass. And then they continue, I can't work out whether Larson is angry or upset. She has spoken out before about sexism in Hollywood and has taken on the industry in other ways.
Gee, I wonder why she wouldn't want to recreate that experience. I, for one, am shocked.
In 2018, she called for greater ethnic and gender diversity in film criticism, pointing out that more than 60% of critics were white men. Yet today, she appears not only unwilling to engage with such issues, but even surprised to have been asked. She says later, I don't feel that everything I'm saying is a stance. There are times that I speak out, and there are times when I don't. Larson is a curious mix. One minute, she's the sort of woman with whom you can imagine knocking back a few martinis. The next, she is prickly and unresponsive. Born Brianne Sidoni de Saulniers in Sacramento, California in 1989, reports say she changed her name to Larson because she was sick of people struggling to pronounce her surname. She moved to Los Angeles with her mother at the age of 7, following her parents' divorce, and was homeschooled by her own choice.
Wow, a homeschool kid.
So,
Here are some of the positive
this was the
things.
novel that they wrote about her to try to make sense of the fact that she wasn't entertaining their bullshit.
She did say some positive things about Carol Danvers. I noticed that you have to kind of pull that out of her. She says, I was aware that taking Carol would make me more of a public person than I was before, but I thought that what the film was saying was more important than my fear, and I also thought I trusted myself to know how to manage my life. I mean, press X to doubt on believing that like anything in a Marvel movie has significant messaging, that it's important for society. That's just my personal opinion.
It's just slop.
She says, it was a life-changing experience. A lot of the characters I play, I'm like, thank you, goodbye. Once it's done, I don't feel that I need to bring them home. With Captain Marvel, most of the things I learned from her agency, her sense of self, I'm keeping. It was great that she could also be that experience for others. See, she got the virtue signal in there. She got to talk about agency.
Okay, but you could say that about other characters, so it's not that...
No, it's not that bad.
It's not actually bad at all.
No, but I'm just saying.
But you know, you can go to this much effort and you can learn the dirty tricks of journalists. You learn to never trust journalists because of moments like this. And then they still throw you under the bus with this headline, Brie Larson on Marvel and misogyny. Like, that's how you start off the article?
You've already screwed her.
Like, she
had nothing to say on misogyny. She literally had zero to say on it. She said, don't ask me these questions.
Yeah, and they still do this to her. When are they going to learn? Clearly, she has learned better tactics with the media than she used to use. But, you know, still, you cannot even... Like, it's just crazy. I've met enough journalists to just know, like, there must be a whole course in like getting your journalism degree where it's just about emotionally manipulating people.
Yep.
You know, like you make them feel safe. You get invited into these people's homes.
You laugh with them.
And you laugh with them and you relate to them about your little quirks and idiosyncrasies.
The pen is a sword and it is very mighty.
You make them feel safe and then you go right for the jugular with a headline like that. And then they wonder, like, why are the journalists so reviled? It must be a free speech issue.
Disparu says, hats off to Brie Larson. She seems to have finally realized that the press exists solely to bait her into saying something stupid. So now she stonewalls their entrapment. The problem is, for most celebrities, they are self-important. They are excited to get on their high horse.
Oh, yeah.
They do want to make these statements. So it's not even much to say that the journalists are good at their jobs. They actually just offer up the slightest inclination to do so. And most of them, you know, take to it like red meat. They love it. They want to talk about these things. They want to feel as if they're changing the world. They are not. None of us are. Sorry.
Most of them are assuming that people are just clamoring for them to speak on these issues. But it looks like, as annoying as Brie Larson is, she's never going to be as annoying as the average journalist. That's
Correct.
what we learned.
Yep.
And clearly she has learned her own lessons in the process as well. So maybe this is going to be like her turning point.
Hey, look, it's actually against our own interest to encourage them to do this because you can only make this video so many times. It's more fun to dunk on them being out of touch, stupid, and self-important. But I do applaud them when they get it right and realize golf claps when they realize that the traditional mainstream journalists are not their friends. The problem is that they look at us as the enemy. Fine, whatever. You can say it all you want. I will both support you when you say the right thing and dunk on you when you say the wrong thing. The other journalists, the mainstream press, the legacy media journalists, are wolves in sheep's clothing. They are there to pretend to be your friend and then put you in the worst possible light because the worst possible light is beneficial to their click rate.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.